For many years, Ethan Cole lived alone on a quiet planet at the edge of human space. The planet was called Dustfall, a dry world with wide skies, red soil, and strong winds. Most people hated it. Ethan chose it. He was a retired human, once a soldier, once a name people respected. Now he was just a man with a small ranch, some land, and long silent days. He woke before sunrise, fixed broken fences, checked his water tanks, and ate alone. He spoke to no one. He needed no one. The war had taken enough from him. Ethan's ranch was far from alien cities and trade routes. That was on purpose. He did not hate aliens. He simply wanted peace. After years of noise, commands, and death, silence felt like medicine. At night, Dustfall became very cold. Ethan sat on his porch with a cup of bitter tea, watching the stars. He often thought the universe had finally forgotten him. He was wrong. That night, the security alarm screamed. Ethan froze. His hand moved by habit, reaching for the old rifle. Beside the door, no one came to this place. No one. Slowly he stood and checked the monitor. 11 figures stood at the ranch gate, not humans. They were alien women, thin and shaking, their clothes torn by travel and dust. Their skin colors were different: blue, pale green, silver, but their fear looked the same. Some were holding each other. One had collapsed to her knees. Ethan frowned. "This can't be real," he said quietly. He activated the external speaker. "This is private land," he said in a calm, strong voice. "Leave." The figures did not move. One of them stepped forward. She was taller than the others, with dark eyes and long markings on her face. Her voice trembled, but she forced the words out. "Please. Human, we have nowhere else to go." Ethan felt irritation rise in his chest. Trouble always started with those words. "Go to a city," he replied. "There are stations, shelters." The alien woman shook her head. "They will not take us." "Why?" There was a long pause. The wind howled across the empty land. "We are widows," she said. Ethan's grip tightened on the railing. Widows. He knew that word meant something different to many alien cultures. "And?" he asked. "Our mates died in service to the Galactic Council," she continued. "When a male dies, the female loses her place. No home, no protection, no rights." Another alien woman spoke, her voice weak. "They took our homes. They marked U.S. as burdens." Ethan stared at the screen. 11 widows. All abandoned. All hunted by law, not criminals. "Why come here?" Ethan asked. "Why me?" the first widow swallowed. "Because you are human." "Humans are different." Ethan almost laughed. Different had always been a polite word for dangerous. "I don't help," he said. "I don't protect. I am done." Behind the widows, lights appeared in the sky far away, but moving. Patrol lights. The alien woman's eyes widened. "They are coming," she whispered. "Please, just one night. If you send us away, they will take us." Ethan felt the old weight in his chest, the feeling he had buried with metals and graves. He remembered soldiers left behind, civilians ignored. Orders followed instead of hearts. He closed his eyes. This was not his war. But then again, neither were the others, and opened the gate. "Inside," he said. The widows did not believe him at first. When the gate fully opened, they rushed forward, some crying, some bowing their heads in thanks. One collapsed at the doorway, exhausted. Ethan caught her before she hit the ground. She was light. Too light. He led them into the main shelter. He gave them water, simple food, blankets, no questions. The widows ate like people who had not eaten in days. Ethan stood apart, watching. 11 lives, 11 problems, 11 reasons the galaxy would soon notice him again. Outside, the patrol lights passed over the ranch, then moved on. For now, the lead widow approached him again. "You saved us," she said, softly. Ethan shook his head. No, I delayed something worse. She looked confused. Ethan looked out at the dark land beyond his walls. If they come back, he said, things will change. That night, for the first time in years, Ethan Cole did not sleep alone, and the silence he loved was gone. Morning came slowly to duskfall. Ethan Cole woke before the sun, as he always did. For a moment, he forgot. Then he heard its soft voices inside. His house, movement, breathing that was not his own. He opened his eyes fully. The widows. 11 alien women slept across the main room, wrapped in old blankets. Some lay on the floor, some against the wall, and 2 sat upright, afraid to sleep too deeply. Their faces were tired, marked by hunger and fear. Ethan stood quietly. Years of soldier training made him silent without effort. He noticed details. Thin arms, old injuries. One widow held a small metal necklace in her hand, even in sleep. These were not criminals. They were survivors. Ethan moved to the kitchen and began to cook. Simple food. Warm food. The smell slowly filled the room. One by one, the widows woke. They froze when they saw him. You are safe, Ethan said calmly. For now. The lead widow, the one who spoke at the gate, stood and bowed her head. My name is Selah, she said. Thank you for shelter, human Ethan. Ethan is fine, he replied. Sit, eat. They hesitated. In many alien cultures, refusing a command was dangerous. Slowly, they obeyed. As they ate, color returned to their faces. Hands stopped shaking. One widow began to cry quietly, tears dropping into her bowl. No one laughed. No one judged. Ethan leaned against the counter. Tell me everything, he said. Selah nodded. Our species is called the Valari, she began. We are loyal. When our males join the council fleets, we serve behind them. When they die, we are no longer useful. Ethan's jaw tightened. The council gives a death reward, Selah continued. But only to families led by a living male. Widows lose their status. Our homes are taken. We are sent away. Sent where? Ethan asked. Selah looked down. Anywhere that is not seen. Another widow spoke, her voice sharp with pain. They call us drains, mouths that consume but do not produce. Ethan felt heat rise in his chest. He had heard words like that before. During war. Used to make cruelty feel legal. Why 11? He asked. Selah's voice broke. Our mates served together. They died together. Silence filled the room. Ethan nodded once. And the patrol last night? The council sends enforcers. Selah said, they collect widows who flee. Some are forced into labor. Some disappear. Ethan looked at the walls of his ranch. Thin metal, old defenses, enough for animals. Not enough for the council. You cannot stay long, he said honestly. Fear returned to their eyes. But Ethan continued, I don't send people to die. That word people meant everything. The widows exchanged looks. Selah stepped forward again. Human Ethan, she said carefully, by Valari law, shelter given during pursuit creates a bond of protection. Ethan frowned. Explain. If you turn us away now, Selah said, the bond breaks. But if you keep us, the council must challenge you openly. Ethan exhaled slowly. That sounds like trouble. Yes, Selah admitted. For you, Ethan walked outside. The sun had risen, painting the land gold and red. The ranch was quiet, but the air felt heavy. Like the calm before artillery fire, he had retired to avoid this. Politics, laws, power. Gains. Behind him, soft footsteps followed. Selah stood beside him. We do not wish to destroy your peace, she said. But peace has already abandoned us. Ethan stared at the horizon. He remembered another planet. Another group of people. Told to move on because helping them was inconvenient. He remembered how that ended. Eat, Ethan said finally. Rest today, I'll check the perimeter. Sayla's eyes widened. You will not send us away? Not today, he replied. The widows bowed deeply. Some touched the ground with their foreheads. Others whispered prayers in languages Ethan did not know. As the day passed, Ethan worked harder than usual. He repaired old sensors, cleaned unused turrets buried in dust, tools he had sworn never to touch again. Inside, the widows cleaned, cooked, and repaired what they could. The ranch felt alive. That evening, Ethan's long-range scanner beeped. A signal. Council technology. Ethan stared at the screen. A small ship had entered the system. Not attacking, watching. He smiled without humor. So, he muttered, they noticed. Behind him, the widows gathered silently. Sayla spoke softly. They will test you first. Ethan picked up his rifle. Then, they chose the wrong retired human. Outside, the stars watched. And somewhere beyond them, the Galactic Council began to ask a dangerous question. Why did 11 alien widows choose one human? And why did he let them stay? The next 3 days changed everything. Ethan Cole did not tell the widows they were staying forever. He did not promise safety or victory. He only did what humans had always done best. He prepared. At sunrise each day, Ethan walked the land with a scanner in his hand. Dustfall looked empty, but it was not weak. Wide fields gave clear sight lines. Rocks could hide power cables. Old wind towers could carry sensors. The widows watched from a distance at first. They had learned that watching was safer than hoping. On the fourth morning, Sayla stepped forward. Human Ethan, she said carefully, we wish to help. Ethan paused. This isn't your fight. Sayla shook her head. It became our fight when you opened the gate. Ethan studied her. There was fear in her eyes, but also resolve. He nodded once. All right, he said. If you help, you learn. The widows learned fast. Some worked the fields. Growing food in soil the council said was useless. Others repaired walls and roofs using scrap metal and alien tools. 2 widows with engineering training helped Ethan reactivate old defense systems buried under years of dust. Laughter returned to the ranch, soft at first, then louder. For the widows, it was strange and beautiful. For Ethan, it felt dangerous. Because good things always attracted attention. That night, the sky burned. A council probe ship entered low orbit. Its shadow passed over the ranch like a dark cloud. Loud voice echoed across the land. Human Ethan Cole, by order of the Galactic Council, present the Velari widows for relocation. The widows froze. Ethan stepped outside alone. This is private land, he said calmly into the open air. You have no claim here, the voice replied, cold and sharp. Human frontier claims do not protect illegal dependents. Ethan smiled. Slightly. That depends, he said, on how well you read your own laws. There was a pause. The probe lowered. Scanners sweeping the ranch. Weapons did not power up, but everyone knew that could change. Inside, the widows waited, hearts pounding. Sayla whispered, They are testing you. Ethan spoke again. By Council Charter Section 9, Sub-Article 3, any human retirement land beyond core space is sovereign property. You need a challenge Rick to enter. Silence followed. The probe rose higher. This matter will be reviewed, the voice said. Do not interfere with council justice. The ship pulled away. The widows exhaled together. Some cried. Some laughed. In disbelief, Ethan did neither. They'll be back, he said. That night, Ethan gathered the widows around the main table. If you stay, he said, you become a target. The council doesn't like humans who remind them of old rules. Sayla met his eyes. If we leave, she said, we die. The choice was already made. The widows placed their hands together, a Velari sign of unity. We stay. Sayla said. Ethan nodded. Then we stop acting like refugees, he said. This ranch becomes home. Over the next days, the ranch changed. Defenses rose from the ground. Sensors covered the land. Old human tech mixed with alien skill. The widows learned how humans fought not with cruelty, but with preparation. At night, they shared stories. The widows spoke of mates lost in war. Ethan spoke little, but when he did, they listened. One evening, a young widow asked softly, "Human Ethan, why did you stop fighting?" Ethan looked at the fire. "Because I was tired of surviving," he said. "I wanted to live." The widow nodded. "Then you are living again." The scanner beeped. Ethan looked up. Multiple ships this time. Council insignias. He did not curse. He did not panic. He only smiled. "Looks like they're done testing," he said. Behind him, 11 widows stood tall. They were no longer shaking. The galaxy had come to take them back. But the ranch refused to kneel. The council ships did not attack. That alone was frightening. 3 large vessels hovered above Dustfall, shining silver against the red sky. They stayed high out of range of Ethan's ground weapons, but close enough to remind everyone who held power. A shuttle descended. Ethan stood at the front gate of the ranch, rifle resting on his shoulder. Behind him, 11 Valari widows waited in a straight line. They did not hide. They did not kneel. The shuttle doors opened. 4 council enforcers stepped out, tall, armored, their faces hidden behind smooth helmets. A floating drone followed them, recording everything. The lead enforcer spoke, voice loud and emotionless. "Human Ethan Cole, you are in violation of council protection statutes. Surrender the Valari widows immediately." Ethan did not raise his weapon. "State your authority," he said calmly. The enforcer paused, clearly annoyed. "By mandate of the Galactic Council." Ethan shook his head slightly. "That's not enough." The enforcer's tone hardened. "These females are classified as displaced dependents. They are not permitted to claim independent shelter." Sayla stepped forward. "We are not dependents," she said. "We are widows of council soldiers." The enforcer turned his helmet toward her. "You are obsolete assets." The widows stiffened. Ethan's voice dropped, slow and dangerous. "Watch your language on my land." The enforcer ignored him. "Human, final warning. Interference will result in loss of property rights." Ethan smiled. "Then you should listen very carefully," he said. He reached into his coat and removed a thin metal tablet. "Old, scratched human-made. This ranch," Ethan said, "is registered under the Human Frontier Retirement Act." The drone hovered closer. "Section 12, Ethan continued, states that any retired human combatant may claim ungoverned land beyond Council core space. Such land is classified as independent sovereign territory." The enforcer hesitated. Ethan tapped the tablet. Subsection 7. Any being given shelter during lawful pursuit gains temporary asylum until a neutral court reviews the case. The widows felt hope rise. The enforcer's voice sharpened. "The council does not recognize human asylum law." Ethan's smile vanished. "Then why did you sign it?" he asked. Silence. The drone beeped softly as it confirmed the data. Ethan stepped closer. "Your own charter," he said, "allows humans to operate outside council authority as long as we don't expand." He looked at the widows. "I didn't expand," he said. "They came to me." The enforcer shifted. "This is inconvenient," the enforcer admitted. Ethan nodded. "Justice often is." The lead enforcer raised an arm. "Weapons powered up, not aimed, but ready. The council will not tolerate defiance," he warned. Ethan raised his rifle, not pointing it, just holding it clearly. "Neither will I," he replied. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then the enforcer lowered his arm. "This matter will be escalated," he said. "You will receive a formal ultimatum." The enforcers returned to the shuttle. As it lifted off, Sayla whispered, They will come back with force. Ethan looked at the ships above. Yes, he said, but not yet. That night, a council transmission reached every major system. A retired human had claimed asylum rights over 11 alien widows. And the council had failed to take them across the galaxy. Old laws were being reread. Old grudges were waking up. Ethan stood on his porch, watching the stars. I wanted quiet, he muttered. Behind him, Sayla spoke gently. The universe rarely gives humans what they want. Ethan nodded. But it often gives us what it needs. The council had forgotten something important. Humans wrote laws after surviving extinction, and those laws were not suggestions. The ultimatum arrived at dawn. A red message burned across every screen on Ethan Cole's ranch. Surrender. The Valari widows within 12 hours, or your territory will be reclaimed by HFY. Ethan read it once. Then he deleted it. The widows gathered around him, fear clear on their faces. They had seen council force before. Entire cities bent under it. Sayla stepped forward. You can still give us up, she said quietly. They will spare you. Ethan looked at her. I didn't open my gate to trade lives, he replied. He turned to the ranch controls. Time to wake the old systems, he said. Hidden doors opened across the land. Dust-covered turrets rose from the ground. Sensor towers unfolded. Old human technology, simple, strong, and stubborn, came alive. The widows watched in shock. You prepared all this? One asked. Ethan nodded. I hoped I'd never use it. The first council strike team landed before the 12 hours ended. Dropships cut through the sky, screaming like metal beasts. Enforcers poured out, weapons ready. Final warning, human Ethan Cole. Ethan stepped into the open, unarmed. This is your warning, he replied. The enforcers advanced. Then the ground exploded. Traps triggered, non-lethal but disabling. Energy nets snapped tight. EMP bursts shut down armor systems. Enforcers fell, confused and blind. The widows watched from the walls. He is not killing them, Sayla whispered. No, another widow said in awe. He is defeating them. Council. Command shouted orders. More troops rushed forward. Ethan moved like the soldier he once was, fast, calm, precise. He used the land, walls, the dust. Every step forced the enforcers back. A council commander barked into a comm unit. This human fights like a warlord. No, another voice replied. He fights like someone protecting home. The widows made a choice. They did not hide. They joined him. Some activated shields. Others carried supplies. 2 widows used alien tech to jam council communications. They moved with purpose, not fear. The battle streamed live. The council had activated record drones for evidence. Instead, they broadcast humiliation across the galaxy. Beings watched as a retired human held his ground alone, outnumbered, and refusing to kill. A human commentator whispered on a civilian channel. He's teaching them something. On the field, the last enforcer fell alive, disarmed. Restrained. Silence returned to Dustfall. Council ships pulled back. Ethan stood breathing hard, dust on his coat. Sayla approached him slowly. You could have ended them, she said. Ethan shook his head. That I'd become what they expect. A new message arrived. The council will reconsider its approach. Ethan laughed softly. That's council talk for we weren't ready, he said. That night, news spread fast. A human ranch. 11 alien widows. A council defeat without bloodshed. For the first time in centuries, the council had been shown a line it could not cross easily. Sayla looked at Ethan with new understanding. You are more than a guardian, she said. Ethan stared at the stars. I'm just a man, he replied. But this is my land. And the galaxy was beginning to realize something dangerous. The human was no longer asking for permission. The council did not return the next day. That worried Ethan more than the attack. Silence from power never meant peace. It meant planning. Ethan stood near the outer fence, checking damage. Burn marks scarred the soil. Broken armor lay half buried. In dust, the ranch had survived, but only barely. Behind him, the widows gathered. They were quieter now, stronger, no longer guests. Selah stepped forward, holding a thin crystal tablet. "We have spoken together," she said. "All 11 of us." Ethan turned. "About leaving?" "No," Selah replied. "About staying." She raised the tablet. A soft blue light filled the air, forming symbols older than the council itself. "This is Valari binding law," she said. "It is rarely used," Ethan frowned. "What does it do?" Selah met his eyes. "It allows widows to choose a guardian of continuance." The words felt heavy. "If accepted," she continued, "the guardian becomes legally responsible for our protection. In return, we offer loyalty, labor, and shared fate." Ethan took a slow breath. "And the council?" Selah's voice hardened. "They cannot touch us without breaking ancient interspecies law." The widows stepped forward together. One by one, they placed a hand over their hearts. "We choose you," Selah said. Ethan looked at their faces. Fear was still there, but so was trust. "You don't know what you're asking," he said quietly. A younger widow spoke. "We know exactly what we ask. We choose a human who stood when others turned away." Ethan closed his eyes. He had wanted a quiet end, a small life. No responsibility. The universe had other plans. "If I accept," he said, "there's no walking away." Selah nodded. "We already walked far enough." Ethan placed his hand on the glowing tablet. "I accept," he said. The light flared. Across the galaxy, sensors reacted. Ancient law activated. Council archives unlocked records they had not opened in centuries. A human had been named guardian, under pre-council statute. Alarm sounded in council chambers, on Dustfall. The air felt different, lighter, stronger. The widows straightened. Their posture changed. Their status was no longer displaced. They were protected. A transmission arrived seconds later. "Human Ethan Cole, you have invoked obsolete law." Ethan smiled. "Obsolete doesn't mean invalid," he replied. The council voice hesitated. "Guardian status carries obligations." "No," Ethan said. "I've lived with worse." The signal cut. That night, the widows prepared a Valari meal. Not as guests, but as family. They sang softly, honoring the dead and the living. Ethan sat with them, uneasy but calm. Selah raised her cup, to the guardian who did not run. Ethan lifted his own, to the people who refused to disappear. Outside, Dustfall's skies glowed. With distant ships watching, waiting. None dared approach, because now the ranch was more than land. It was recognized, and the council had lost something it could never regain: control. The galaxy did not change in one day, but it started on Dustfall. News spread fast. Not through council channels, but through traders, refugees, and free stations. The story sounded unreal, yet the records proved it true. A retired human, 11 alien widows. An ancient law awakened. Council worlds reacted with fear. Border systems reacted with hope. Ships began to arrive, not warships, but small civilian craft. They stayed far from the ranch at first, careful, respectful. Their messages were simple. Is the Guardian real? Is Dustfall truly safe? Ethan Cole watched from his porch as the first non-Valari refugees arrived. Old aliens, injured workers, families abandoned by council rules. He did not invite them. He did not turn them away. The ranch grew. Fields expanded. Shelters rose. The widows organized supplies and food. Each had a role now, not because they were ordered, but because they chose to belong. Selah became a leader, calm and fair. Others taught language, medicine, and repair. Laughter became common. Music filled the nights. Ethan still woke before sunrise. Still walked the fences. Still carried his rifle. But he was no longer alone. The council finally sent a formal delegation. Not soldiers, not threats. Negotiators. They stood before Ethan. Uncomfortable and tense. Guardian Ethan Cole, the lead negotiator said. The council proposes regulation of dustfall. Ethan shook his head. No, you cannot host unlimited refugees. Watch me. The negotiator tried again. You are destabilizing established order. Ethan looked at the widows working. Behind him, at children laughing near the fields. At life where there had been nothing. Then your order needed shaking, he said. The delegation left. Weeks later, new laws quietly appeared in council space. Widow status redefined. Forced displacement banned. Asylum recognized. They never credited dustfall. They did not need to. Sayla stood beside Ethan one evening, watching the sunset paint the land gold. You changed everything, she said. Ethan shook his head. No. You did. I just opened the gate. Sayla smiled. Humans always say that. That night, Ethan wrote a single message and transmitted it openly. This land is not a rebellion. It is a reminder. We protect those who are abandoned. The message spread farther than weapons ever could. Years later, Dustfall was no longer a forgotten planet. It was known as Haven Ground. Children learned its story in schools across free systems. They learned that when the galaxy turned away, one human did not. They learned that laws written by survivors are stronger than laws written by rulers. Ethan Cole died many years later. Quietly, on his porch, watching the stars, he was buried on the land he protected. The widows no longer widows, but leaders stood together above his grave. They placed simple words in human script. Here rests a man who refused to look awaken. The galaxy remembered. Because sometimes HFY is not about strength. Sometimes HFY is about choosing to care.